Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to the South Star Classroom. I'm one of your co-hosts, David Castillo, and we've got Omar Yanar in the building. Our other two co-hosts are out doing things in the real world, but we are here for episode 232, if you can believe that. We've already got an active chat. Hello, Mr. Conrad. How are you? He's got
What
some
up,
good
Bill?
ideas there. We're going to have him on the show at some point. You know that. We'll have your people call my people, Mr. Conrad, and Toya also. We're going to have Toya back on the show,
or
right?
just kind of send us a message.
Yeah, man.
Do we have people? You've got people.
Yeah, we have a team. Yeah.
I don't have people.
Let's check in first, Omar. How are you doing?
Better this week. Last week was a rough week, and things, towards the end of the school year work-wise are always a bit difficult just because you're finishing something while simultaneously working on the next year. But I was actually really sick last week, like bad sick. It was not a pretty thing. God knows. Could be spiritual, could have been a bad piece of sushi, David. It's totally right now uncertain what it was, but it was bad.
Oh gosh. We're gonna go have sushi tonight for dinner. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you live in San Diego. I live in El Paso. I'm going to assume that the
takes a while for the
the quality.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. What's going on with you, man? How have you been?
Good. We wrapped up the season for my son's indoor band program, the percussion program. So we were up in LA last weekend for regional finals.
How did you do?
They did great, but they weren't scored great by the judges. It is the most insane kind of like setup. It's all day long. They have to do it in two different waves because there's so many schools. And the judges see probably upwards of 50 or 60 performances.
God, how do you even remember at that point?
And so I think the scoring can sometimes be a little bit off. But anyways, they did well.
Yeah.
They played seventh. But I mean, it's pretty incredible. I never did music in school. And so for me and my wife, we're learning about, how these activities, how they work, both the regular school kind of based stuff and then the competition side of it. It's all new for us. And we just finished up. My son did marching band, and then he just finished with indoor percussion. And now he's joined the jazz band. So he's going to be doing part of the jazz
smooth jazz
for the June concert. So all things music. It's really cool because it's a big school. And so we get it's a big school, but then and they don't have advisories, right? So this is the advisory class.
Right.
The band teachers are like the advisors. It's amazing. I mean, we, when sometimes something will happen with a kid and their parents or whatever. And man, these parents, they look out for all the kids. They really
That's
do.
Cool.
That extra level of support or safety net for kids. And it's badass, dude. It's having nothing to do with the music part. It's just a smaller group of parents that just everybody's watching out for everybody's kids. So yeah,
it's beautiful. It's a little community that you guys got going on there.
Definitely, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I won't make any band camp jokes. I will refrain from all band camp related jokes.
I saw a kid that had a T-shirt on at the competition on Sunday. It said, "Drums, not drugs." I was like, boom, there you go, dude.
Hugs, not drugs.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Anyhow.
Yeah, man. Let's see how if that kid gets into a real band, like a rock band, we'll see how long that moniker lasts.
It's appropriate for
definitely child appropriate, very much so. Yeah. Tell them to.
Anyhow, what else? Anything else? No, just kind of, I mean, transitioning with some of my clients too. I mean, they're wrapping up the school year. I only have one school-based client now, so my other clients are just kind of on the regular annual calendar.
Mm,
Um, Kind of nice because it's not like this big wave of like, people closing out the year and then, planning for next year. But so that feels good. And yeah, I mean, I've been pretty busy lately, so that's good. That's a blessing. That's a blessing.
Usually it's what is it? The devil's idle
Oh
hands
yeah,
makes the
totally.
devil's playground.
And that's me. That's me for sure. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay. Well,
step
let's
in.
get into it. Yeah. So I think we talked about the Alpha School on a previous episode. We didn't go too
I
deep
think we
into
brought it
it.
up. Yeah.
We brought it up. Yeah. So it's in, it's definitely like in the news. They're about to open a brand new site in Austin. And so I just wanted to bring it back and talk about what it is, what it isn't, and then have a broader discussion about I think kind of what you're doing at EPLA, and that's like doing some school redesign, right? Getting kids ready
Hmm.
for the real world. So let's do that. All right. So I wrote up a little thing. Let's see what we can pull out of this. So at a high level, the Alpha School is trying to fundamentally redesign school around one core idea: academics can be delivered faster and more efficiently through AI-driven adaptive platforms. It's interesting because like we're in this age right now, in this moment where you see big school districts are like, no Chromebooks for elementary kids or middle school kids. There's like this reverse technology push
Yeah.
happening now, but I mean, who knows? Um, okay, so students come to school. They spend 2 hours um, each day on core subjects, and that's kind of like their AI independent work time. I kind of liken it to the Montessori work period. So in
Hmm.
The Montessori model, there's like it's like the 3.5 hour kind of highly structured, yet if you look at it, unstructured work period where
Okay.
students are moving around the classroom and choosing selected works to do and documenting it on a work plan. It's quite fascinating, but this is like AI driven. Um, let's see. Software adjusts in real time. Adults act as guides. So not what do we say, the sage on the stage, but the
Right. The
guide
guy
on
on
the
the side.
side. Yeah, exactly.
Simo.
Yep. Um, okay. The rest of the day shifts towards life skills, entrepreneurship, presentations, and projects, framing school less as content delivery and more as skill building. All right. I pulled some information from a couple. I mean, if you Google Alpha School, there's like in the last 2 weeks they've had a big media push because there's lots of stuff out there. But here's a couple of snapshots. New York City, Alpha has entered one of the most competitive private school markets in the country. Yet interest has been intense. One report described parent information sessions as essentially overflowing, signaling strong demand among affluent families for alternatives to traditional schooling.
Oh,
65K
they.
a year, 65K, right? Chicago
65K a
area.
year. Dude, that's like
Yeah, for the New York school. I mean, we could have a whole show where we unpack
woo.
their financial documents to figure out how they're going to spend. How do you spend this money if kids are working on computers for 2 hours? I don't. Anyway, that's another show. Um, but I
Brick
think
and
an
mortar,
interesting
man.
one.
Brick and mortar is expensive.
It is. And so Chicago also, they're expanding into Chicago. New campuses in major metro areas across Chicagoland. Tuition in that range, I think it differs upon region. So 50K
Hmm.
in Chicago.
Oh,
Nationally,
only.
they've got yeah, I know. Nationally, they've got 13 plus campuses confirmed, or that I could find information on. No longer a pilot. It has now entered the network strategy stage. Okay. Um, the model is built on what AI now makes possible. So real time data on student performance. These are things that, can and should be happening in all schools. continuous adaptation of content. Okay. Ability to individualize learning at scale. All right. In their framing, AI enables faster mastery, less wasted time, and more personalized pathways. Okay. Much of the performance data cited still comes from internal analysis, not independent research, because it's still kind of a new concept. Let's see what else here. Structural reality. It's a private school, very expensive. So far, focusing on affluent, high demand markets. There was another thing that I saw, and I don't know if this is across the network, and then we can jump into discussion. So the tuition is, let's say, $65,000, okay, or $60,000 at their new Austin campus. If by the time you graduate, so 4 years, I think it's a high school program. If you haven't made upwards of $1 million, so they have students actually start doing businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't made $1 million, you get your tuition back.
What?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. You want me to read that again? Okay. Tuition is, and oh my gosh, in Austin, the tuition is $150K a year. Okay, this is like hot off the press, man. The promise, and this is by one of the founders, right?
Ooh.
The promise: every student hits $1 million in gross profit by graduation, or the family gets their tuition refunded. The first class will be around 20 freshmen at the new Austin campus. So there you go. Revolutionary. What are your initial thoughts on this?
God dang. I mean, I want to make $1 million using AI the next 4 years. I worry, and yet
Crazy.
am highly optimistic. So you've got this like juxtaposition, right? Like we're in this really interesting paradigm where we're seeing all this research and it's like technology has just not done what needs to be done. And I can see that, right? You're on a Chromebook and you're like jacking around on websites that have nothing to do with what you're supposed to be doing.
Yep.
Giving, I'd say, teachers a little bit more leeway to be like, the computer can do more heavy lifting. Not good. But then is the kid doing the heavy lifting? So I imagine like, what is the kind of not only cognitive dissonance, how big is the mental lift for the kid? Much like weightlifting, right? Like that's kind of the point. Like if they're struggling and they're building these neural pathways, this is a good thing. And that may just happen from having to sink into a problem and really like dealing with the difficulty of it and thinking through it and then solving it. That I think is a necessary component to education and a necessary component to growing neural pathways and a necessary component that I think technology has done a disservice to, right? On the other hand, dude, like ask Bill what his thoughts are on like the droning teacher that's lecturing for, 45 minutes on their like sage on the stage horse crap. Watch my language for our more less colorful, in-tuned audience members. Yeah, that's the this boy. I got a mouth on me like a dirty pirate, dude. So Bill would go on and be like, so what learning is happening when some teacher's droning on for like 8 hours? So what's better, the technology or some boring ass teacher?
Yep.
Here's this divide that like we're struggling with right now. Here's what I will say, just quick shots. 8 hours of just instruction as we've seen it is terrible. This is dumb. absolutely dumb. It's no longer needed. It's antiquated. It is a relic of teaching students essentially, like, here's how to shut up and follow rules. This is what's going to do you well in the factories of the United States. Dude, weapons of mass percussion, weapons of mass destruction, Bill. Bill, this is what we're talking about. This is why the school system was built the way it was, to go into the factories and build these weapons. And honestly, I think you could.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, I mean, dude, I'm all for it, because hear me out, Toya, like, it makes sense. If you can synthesize core learning, basically your reading and your math, your problem solving, your cognitive dissonance, your neurological pathways, just in terms of like the strict components of numerology and language reading, I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be boiled down to 2 hours. That's really the direction that I want to start taking our middle schools. Is I want core academics in the morning, and we're really just synthesizing all the subjects into a morning component. And then the afternoon, I want recess. I want critical problem solving. I want project-based learning. I want hands-on learning where kids are using the things that they learned in the morning. I mean, like, how's this apply in the real world? That takes creativity. And if an AI model can be like, here's the project, teachers go and do, awesome. If an AI is able to keep a kid engaged in the same way that a video game can keep engaged, because here's where I think I've got a bit of a difference, David. Parents come up to you and me and, all of us are like, my kid doesn't have an attention span problem. They could sit in front of this video game for 12 hours and they can't sit in the classroom. And I'm like, bro, Jesus, like, read a book, man, or like a magazine article. Video games are exceptionally good at using the dopamine and the like oxytocin and all, like, the mostly dopamine, right? Like, those components neurologically that provide a hit of dopamine, a sense of satisfaction, a sense of worth, they're really good at it. And that doesn't necessarily happen from reading. There has to be a training of what that level of support is. And I would arguably say, like, human pleasure, if you will, from reading, that's radically different than a video game. So if this AI can engage kids in a way that can help with that while doing all the neurological stuff, I'd say I'm interested, David. I'm saying I'm super interested. You know? I do. My one quick take is like $1 million. Man, listen, like, are you just like stealing money, or is this like a Ponzi scheme? Is it just like, I'm out here making AI ads, so I'm making some money and people buying shit and we're taking? I mean,
didn't
like,
say how. They just said
that is a little confusing to me. I'm wondering, all right, how are they using the AI to get kids to make all that money?
I don't know if that's. I don't know. I think the AI is just like the way that the curriculum is framed. And then, well, let me talk about the school day.
Yeah.
Okay. This is fascinating. So,
God, Bill, Jesus. Sorry.
Yeah.
One of its
yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. They make money,
Okay.
I guess, ads.
So we've got what's called I think it's kind of like, what is the network? Like, KIPP is a national network, but it's kind of like decentralized, right? So KIPP in LA might be very different than KIPP in San Antonio, than KIPP in Louisiana and Philly.
Yeah, very much so, right?
So it sounds like this is kind of a loose model, because and some of the readings I saw like a 2-hour block, some I saw 3, but there's a morning core academics block, right? Common subjects, science, language, math, reading. They're working on some kind of platform that does like real-time assessment, adjusts. It's adaptive.
That's cool.
So it adjusts, to the student, where the student is. and they have to demonstrate mastery, and then it moves them forward. I don't even know if it's the Khan Academy or what. I mean, we can find out, but there's a lot of that stuff out there now. So that's what happens in the morning. The interesting thing is, like, there's not a social element here. It's like just kids working on a computer. That's not, I'm like, do they have to be at school for that part of the day? Can't they just do that at home?
That's an interesting proposition. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, minimal direct instruction. Okay, adults are there to monitor progress dashboards like stockbrokers.
Right.
Yeah. Buy now, sell. Provide encouragement and accountability. Yeah.
Omar, I love the way that you
want a cookie, Omar?
Yeah, dude, that's exactly what these video games are. Like, that's exactly what it is. It's like, here's your cookie. Like, you struggled. Now here's your reward platform.
They step in when students get stuck, but they don't teach in a traditional sense. So, okay, so it's like a work period. It's a quiet work period.
Cookies are good.
More like a structured learning lab than a classroom. And, students are working at different levels.
Which has been kind of the goal, right? It's like, God, kids are at such varied levels. How do we not teach to the middle? How do you not teach to the bottom? How do you differentiate instruction for everybody? And I got to tell you, like, as a classroom teacher, boy, that was brain busting work, is to do differentiated instruction. It's very challenging.
Yeah. I mean, the best workaround that we ever found for a classroom thinking about math in particular for ninth graders that were all over the map, anywhere from like a third grade level to a 11th grade level.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Was Khan Academy. So, and that was like almost 15 years ago or more. But okay, so then they transition midday to what's called community time. Now we're going to be in community, eat lunch, break, light community building. They have advisory style check-ins, some goal setting, reflection work. And then they switch over to the afternoon of life skills and applied learning for the next 3 to 4 hours. This is where it really starts to take off from traditional schools. Students rotate through blocks like entrepreneurship, business projects, communication, public speaking, PBL, project-based learning, physical sports and activities, physical activities. So there you go, Toya. And then life skills, time management, collaboration, leadership. I mean, that's kind of what it looks like. And then their parents come to pick them up in their Maseratis at 4 p.m. Okay. So any thoughts on the school day or anything else before we dive in? I've actually got a couple of questions framed up for us here.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is that, dude, I like that setup for a school day. That's what I'm trying to do in the next few years. Anyways,
yeah, that's why I thought this would be interesting, because you're kind of doing some of this work now. So
I am now straddling, if you will.
Yeah,
between the old and the new, and the old.
It's much easier to do it from scratch than it is to retool a system, as you know.
Indeed, it is very much so. Well said.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see. If Alpha requires such high levels of independence and self-regulation, which is a whole other thing we could talk about, how does that translate to students that have greater needs, students that maybe below grade level, English learners, students with disabilities? What are your thoughts on that?
I've got thoughts. Here's what I found. Three quick things. One, autonomy is usually predicated on both emotional intelligence and then a certain level of literacy, right? It's very difficult to be autonomous unless you've really gotten both a social component of being able to do things on your own, right? And then, if you want to call it intelligence, or if education or whatever, a neurological ability to be able to read and decipher things on your own. So
background knowledge.
yeah. And the quick subsections of that is like, dude, I tried this. So I tried a very kind of project-based autonomous learning model when we first started EPLA. And what we found very quickly was that students didn't have the language ability, the literacy ability, and the emotional ability to handle that yet. So you had to really build those components, which leads me into like, yeah, okay, maybe this is structured for affluent kids because anyone on this podcast, and if this is news to you, I'm glad that I'm sharing this news with you. But dude, David and I, and certainly Bill and probably Toya know beyond a shadow of a doubt, sadly, that you can predict a student's success predicated completely on their zip code. Meaning how affluent a family is, you can essentially assess very quickly whether that kid's going to prison or to college. Because affluent families have the ability to send their kids to private schools. The affluent families probably have very well-educated parents. So therefore, like that education seeps through into the kid just from hanging out and listening to the language and the conversations of the parent, the experiences. Like my niece has been to Paris twice. She's 15 years old, David. I was 30, I think, when I got to Paris the first time.
Same.
Meaning yeah, exactly. Like you and I both think about that for a moment. Think about how transformative that experience was for us. And then think about how transformative that experience would be for like a 15-year-old twice over. And it's not like kids need to go to Paris. I'm just making an example of like, this is what happens when you've got money. And when you don't, your parents are often working. So you're kind of left to your own volition. You may not be engaging in academic or intellectual things. You're radically behind in your reading level and your math levels. So what I'm getting at, David, is I really kind of want to ask about this AI because I wonder if these founders predicated this AI to be completely adaptive for anybody in any circumstance, or if it's attuned to the affluent. Like, what would happen if you took that exact AI and gave it to my kids? I would love for it to work. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying, hey man, like, I don't want this to work to prove a point. More like Charlie Murphy, like I challenge you. Much like he challenged people to play Prince in basketball. If you've ever seen the Chappelle Show, I challenge the academies to be like, let me play with your AI and let me take 10 really difficult students who are very behind and see if this works. Because that is what I've found is that oftentimes the kids that are able to work autonomously have been more affluent, have had a lot more social emotional work. And that often is predicated on that. So those are just hot takes, man. What do you think?
It's pretty deep. It's pretty deep. It's not where I thought you were going to go. But you're right. It's like any curriculum, right? Like who wrote it? Who is the intended audience? Same with people that are developing online platforms. Same with people that are developing AI systems, right? We tend to create things that like represent our worldview, right?
Exactly.
It's natural. It's a natural thing for humans.
Well said.
So they use. It looks like, I mean, their academic tools are like, I mean, what I could find is like, it's Khan Academy, IXL, a couple of others. So, spoiler alert there. But
so that's the stuff that we're using.
Yeah, exactly. But they have an AI system called, I guess it's called Incept.
Mm-hmm.
It probably works based off of the different systems that feed into it. Analyzes what kids know, what they don't know, what motivates them, sequences lessons. So it's not really it doesn't seem like it's a content-driven AI. It's more of a hub, that kind of organizes their learning paths, if you will. It's like they call it a learning orchestration engine. So we're learning
You
all
gotta
kinds of
love
stuff.
all these like fancy, dude. Silicon Valley, the corporate world where they're like, excuse my language, Toya, like, well, I'll refrain, dog crap language. Where they just mask their stupidity in big words.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
I love using big words when like they come up, like when it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, like that's imbued in beautiful light and purple. Like that's a pretty word. But I'm not sitting here being like, let me cook up this this recipe of dog crap big words to make it sound a lot cooler than what it is. What that
Yeah.
is a planner. That ain't nothing but a planner. Hey, here's what to do first. Here's what to do second.
Yeah,
I ain't
exactly.
arguing that could be a good ass planner, but like what they call it, what kind of sci-fi 2076 shit do they just call this?
Oh my God. So the guy
Oh,
who's so here's something interesting too.
what?
Maybe this gets to the $1 million kind of headline. So the guy who's founding Alpha School ATX, his name is Nat Eliason. Um, his tagline on on X is creating teen millionaires at the Founders School, which is the Alpha School there. He is a guy. This guy Nat Eliason uh, built an AI agent known as Felix. He gave the AI agent a Stripe account, an email, and an X handle, then told it to launch a business overnight. Felix has done 60K plus in sales ever since. Nat has not touched the code one time after that, which is kind of crazy. Do you catch all that? I mean, it's just like
I
future
did catch
world
all
like
that. Yeah.
stuff, dude. That's pretty crazy. So maybe you're right. Maybe they are going to use AI to make $1 million. Um, all right. We've got a couple more questions, but I wanted to touch on something else too that kind of bothered me a little bit. Because people use this they like to throw around the capital M word, Montessori.
Yeah.
And so one of these guys says that the Alpha schools are really addressing Maria Montessori's like third plane, right? Which is like based on the stages of development, like the Italian guys like Piaget, yada yada yada. First plane, infant, and then like child, and then adolescent, and then adult. I think.
Hmm.
I know the third plane is adolescent, but it's not real. I mean, there's some similarities. Both Montessori and this Alpha de-emphasize the role of the teacher, right? Um, so that's true. A shared belief around students learn better when they have agency and ownership. Okay, that's a true statement. Flexible pacing, not quite tied to like ages or grades. So students can kind of like fluctuate in terms of work and assessments that they're doing, right? You're not just like doing the third grade curriculum. If you need if you need to go down to a first grade lesson, you can. If you want to go up to a fifth grade lesson, you can, or in the high school, you can adjust for that. Alpha's mastery based progression driven by data. Montessori is progression based on developmental readiness. That's very different. Let's see. Shifting away from lectures, minimal direct instruction in Alpha, minimal direct instruction in the Montessori classroom. In Montessori, learning happens through exploration, materials, and guided discovery, right? Focus on real world skills, entrepreneurship in Alpha. In Montessori, there's a real work component. There are economic activities, a focus on community responsibility and empathy. In Alpha, they have an algorithm driven personalization system. In Montessori, they're still working on like paper and clipboards, a lot of notes, So, I mean, some similarities, but I would say, there's also some difference just in terms of the social aspects of the programs of the framework, where a big part of Montessori is really dependent on children like socializing with one another in
Mhm.
what's called the prepared environment.
Mm.
And it seems like, at least for this work period for Alpha, there's not a whole lot of like human social interaction, which is really goes against what Maria Montessori stood for. But you could say, if she were alive today, I don't know. I mean, Montessori was revolutionary at the time, over 100 years ago, right?
Right.
And so you could easily argue that, of course, she would adapt. I mean, of course she would. But there are Montessori purists out there. But I just thought it was interesting that one of the guys, they'd like to throw that word around, and so I just wanted to go on record stating my feelings on that. All right, so we have another question here. We're making good time. What do we more edgy babble?
Yeah, it's all edubabble. Most of
Yeah.
it's babble.
Yeah. Okay. So tuition. I mean, we just heard this Austin school is going to be off the charts, anywhere from 50 to 150K. What would it take for public systems to adopt or adapt this model? Do you think this is something that like could be, talking about investor philanthropy babble scaled up equitably for all children?
Yes and no. And look, it didn't take 2 seconds for me to look on a computer and look up the background of this cat and be like,
Mhm.
you're a rich kid who had all the ability to do nothing for quite some time.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, I'm going to make an academy where they're doing exactly pretty much what I figured out, which is how to make money off of AI. And now you've got a crew of kids making money off of AI the way you did. I'm just going to give you my
Yeah.
hot take, David.
Yeah, man.
This sounds like a freaking Ponzi scheme bubble. And not that the academy itself is the Ponzi scheme, meaning like this cat Nat's got a solid background in crypto. I've got a huge issue with crypto. Like personally, like for all our audience members, if you're excited about a completely unregulated piece of horseshit Ponzi scheme filth that's going to land itself into the arms of Russian terrorists, American terrorists, religious terrorists, arms dealers, drug dealers, like, good for you. Thank you for exciting that system. And people are like, but Omar, like the American dollar does that too. And I'm like, yeah, like not the way that crypto does. That is a totally unregulated market. And you're wondering, I'm going to answer your question, David, about the scaling up component. But took 2 seconds of research into this guy to be like, you're a crypto creep. And you're going to use these kids essentially to make you and your other academies a ton of money because you figured out basically how to manipulate people into paying for shit with AI, which has a bubble. Like that will burst. So let me just say that
Andrew Tate using these young women to do like their OnlyFans scam.
Exactly. Like it sounds like that. And the shit of it is like the history of utilizing child labor has been something that has existed sadly for the last like 5,000 years. That's exactly right, Bill. It's like AI and children, slaves. But here's my silver lining. Here's my optimistic look. Can't we use this model to build the neurological skill sets of kids in a way that won't waste their time with teacher influence and community influence to really dig in deep so that we're not wasting kids' times with 8 hours of just curricular filth because that's the other end of this, and be like, damn, dude, like, what if we actually did build an AI model that worked exceptionally well to build kids' confidence, build their skill sets, build their literacy, build their math, and then do that work so that the rest of the school day is really a lot of the social component. Because where Montessori gets something very right is that as Homo sapiens, and if anyone's read the book Sapiens, you should.
I read it after you
Phenomenal
recommended
book.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, crazy good book, right? And then Homo
Yep.
Deus was also the same author, pretty fantastic. I loved it. It was a sequel to Sapiens. It's just like, dude, like we're built for this. Like we're built for this social component. Like I get
Yeah.
sad when I don't see friends. I get sad when I'm not around people, when I'm not in the sun. And I think it was like, I don't know, man. Like I read something recently about like Charlie Chaplin, and it's like, yeah, man, like your remedy for sadness and depression, get some exercise, eat a good diet, get some sun, be with friends. Homo sapiens are built for this stuff. Now, here's my worry. If we go cyborg, David, and like that's not that big, like that's not hyperbole, man. Bill, are we going to turn into the Borg or what? Because that's a legitimate concern, ladies and gentlemen. Read Homo Deus, read Origins by Dan Brown. Is it an inevitability that humans integrate technology into their being? And we've got like a computer brain, we got a cyborg arm and shit. Like these are no longer hypotheticals, ladies and gentlemen. These could be the real things. Shit, Musk is working on that chip that's going into people's heads. Will that change the Homo sapien, David? Will that change our ability to be social? That worries me, because I honestly think that the social component of being a human is a radically important endeavor. And it's what's causing us to have this like crisis of loneliness, this increased suicide rate, because we're all kind of diving away from the socialness of it. And I'm such a huge fan of this afternoon time where kids are working together. Yeah, that's exactly right, Bill. The blended approach, I think, is the best way to go. Because there's time that we need for ourselves to dive into books and to struggle with things on our own. And then there's time to work with the team and with others to solve problems. But I always say that like the team approach is always the best approach. It's an approach I use in our schools, not just for kids, but for the adults. It's like, dude, stop relying on yourself. Like, use your team and learn about your team. Like our moniker is like, we build, we team, we lead. So build yourself up with the skill sets to learn about yourself, understand yourself. What is my learning modality? Where am I at linguistically? Where am I at literacy wise? What do I learn from? What are incentives that matter for me? Those things vary. Some people love the reward system. Here's a cookie. That's only going to work so long for me. I want to know the why.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are we doing this? You give me a vision, you give me an idea about what this is all working towards, and like, I'll be highly motivated. So it goes against the social component if we're saying this is going to be the end all be all of this. And if these 4 kids are all just working in like what's an AI sweatshop to make money for Nat and Alpha, bro, I think I got a problem with this. Did you think about that? Like, what are your thoughts
crazy.
on this?
No.
That was my first thought. I was like, are you guys building a sweatshop?
Wow. That's wild. Yeah. I mean, honestly,
wild, man.
I didn't even think about it in that way. And now I learned something today.
I'm a cynic.
Unbelievable. No, but it makes sense, dude. It totally makes sense. It's just
It could be.
My gosh.
You know, like shit, dude. Like, what? How is this any different from children of the world making clothing in a sweatshop, right? Because you can charge. You know, how is this any different from the fact that undocumented workers have forever, well, not forever, but for the longest time, built the American economy? Whether it was the slaves in the 1800s. The undocumented workers in the 1900s, the sharecroppers in the 1900s, like shit, like this country is dependent on not paying people a fair wage for a very long time. So it shouldn't be that oddball an idea for a bunch of kids in a school to be using AI to make daddy some money.
$1 million. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, exactly. Of which,
That's
like,
crazy.
how much? I wonder how much of that cut beyond tuition goes to the school. Like, are they taking a 10% cut? Like, I want to know. I want to know for sure.
And there's
Because imagine the game changer. Take 20 low-income kids and be like, dude, we're going to put you in this academy and we're going to completely rid your family of the cycle of poverty forever. Imagine that for a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I want to
You're probably
see.
gonna have to sign. You're probably gonna have to sign like maybe an NDA or of some type. And
Oh, for
um,
sure.
like, I don't even. That's crazy. It feels like. Okay. Okay. So.
And I mean, getting back to your question, because it's actually a very relevant question. Like, you're talking about the tuition of such a place, but the expansion into the mainstream. I'm just putting my dollar down and saying, I don't think this system is built for the mainstream. I think the system's built for the rich. That's just my hot take on it.
They don't
do
offer
think-
financial. There's no financial aid. They have some financial aid system, but they're not giving scholarships to low income kids. I mean, based on what I've seen, I could be wrong. Maybe you have a couple. They got a couple of like token kids. They're like, oh yeah, there's Juanito.
Yeah, exactly.
He takes the bus to the Alpha school.
Yeah, and like Juanito's gonna make us $1 million because Juanito's like crazy smart. We handpicked this kid. I do have the optimism though, David, that like a system like this could be really great. I just don't know if it's this system.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about another system then. So years ago, prior to this model, and this is kind of like, I mean, this is definitely part of the, what do you call it? The design thinking, design theory of like iteration, and launching into something and failing and learning from failure and doing it again, right? That like design cycle. And you're constantly learning. So it's something clearly that I think the tech industry is kind of built upon, right? It's like okay to fail. It's good to fail, right?
Right.
And I think I agree with that. So so let's go back to the alt school. Do you remember the alt school?
I do.
Okay, this goes back to like 2013.
Our audience may not.
Yeah, the alt school was another national network founded by a former Google executive, Max Ventilla. Probably changed his name to Max Vanilla at some point. Bad joke.
That's so good.
The investors can't pronounce my last name. Yeah. They raised about $170 million from a bunch of investors, including Zuckerberg.
Damn,
that's a lot of money, dude. So they had schools in San Francisco and New York and Palo Alto. So not even like these are micro schools, marketed as personalized tech-driven learning using a proprietary software. So it was a school and a software company. Talk about like kids' data being compromised.
Right. Yeah.
So the school served as a product development lab for the software platform, and also it served as student learning environments. That's nice. It's called the school.
Can you say that one more time? Like I lost you.
So the school served as both a product development lab for the platform, and they say a student learning environment. Which
there it is.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So shortly after founding in 2013, in 2017, they started closing campuses. And by 2019, they were pretty much shut down. They sold their alt school platform, the tech platform, and they rebranded to an ed tech company called Altitude Learning. Have you heard of Altitude Learning?
I have, actually. I sure have.
Okay, well, that's them. So it failed. So this thing popped up and it burned very quickly. Unsustainable cost structure, super small class sizes, high staffing needs, expensive tech development. They had a split business model, right? It was like a school and a software company. Definitely challenges with scaling. It worked better in small environments. Some of the other things that we see with scaling around quality and implementation, an over reliance on technology vision.
Yeah.
Right. And that was not that long ago. So I'm just thinking about this Alpha School. Anyhow, it failed. It's gone. I think Mark Zuckerberg had a school in Palo Alto too. And didn't he just close his school in California? Yeah. He just shut his school down. So there's a lot of money from tech going into education. Ideas are coming in. They're failing. People are learning. So Alpha is the new one, right? So the question here is, and we're almost up on time. Let's see. What lessons do you think, if you were to offer the Alpha School founders any advice, what lessons should they have learned from Alt School or other initiatives? This feels like an interview. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, this is a great question. I'm just looking incredulously because I'm like, what advice do I have for some Ponzi scheme school that has a shitload of really rich people racing to seclude their kids amongst other rich kids to make everybody rich in this Ponzi scheme of a situation? And I didn't even have these opinions before the show. Like, this generated during the show. This is why hey, Omar, record your rants. And I'm like, these rants happen naturally because it's difficult to kind of have this stream of consciousness on my own unless we're having a bit of a conversation. I don't know. Maybe
look at this comment. Look at this comment.
Yeah, not if you're the one buying it. If you're the one selling it, you can definitely get high off of that. Dude, I think the lesson to be learned is, look, let's see what happens with Alpha in the next few years. Because if rich parents have an ability to take their kids to a private school, which they've always had, and pay for this learning modality, let's see. Anyone here would say, without very knowledgeable educators, which it doesn't sound like anyone in this joint is, you're going to fail, because it takes a highly skilled educator to understand what this is going to take. And AI ain't really going to do that. I think AI can be an exceptional tool right now. And I would love it myself to be like, can you, kind of what it talked about, can you plan a really good curricular output? Can you keep a kid really engaged? Can you understand what their literacy levels are to basically adapt the curriculum and quickly escalate them up? Can you consolidate what should be 8 hours of education, or excuse me, what is 8 hours and what should be 2 hours of education, so that we can use the rest of the day on that social component, the soft skills, the project-based learning shit. I want kids personally out of the school and doing workplace stuff. That's a great place to learn, is the real world. And how do these things actually function in the real world versus this very kind of contained and very arguably odd and safe space. So I don't have recommendations for Alpha in terms of how they can survive. What I've got is a recommendation for the rest of us is, how do we take this core idea, which is actually pretty good, figure out who's altruistic enough to make an AI that actually would work for low-income kids. Because I will tell you what, clearly no one from Alpha is listening to this podcast right now. But if for some reason in the beautiful stratosphere of the internet world, someone shares this video and then they share this video and they share this video, Nat, Mr. Eliasson, I'm talking directly to you, sir. I bet your AI is badass. And if it's so badass, Let me pilot it with 20 kids, 20 low income Latina students in El Paso, Texas. What are the
Boom.
lowest income places in the country? And if this sucker works, holy shit, I will commend you, congratulate you, tip your hat, and scream from the mountaintops that this works. But I'm just going to make a bet. You're not going to do that. You won't let low-income kids use it, and it won't work on them. I would love to eat those words. I would, for sure, love to eat those words. I will eat them publicly on this medium or any other medium if this curricular system works. But for anyone out there in the stratosphere, all those brilliant people, all those brilliant coders, all those brilliant folks who have an altruistic bone in your body, if you can figure out an AI system that we could use that would help students consolidate that learning into 2 hours and help drive great literacy, great numerology, a great system that kids can use inside the classroom, outside the classroom to drive learning and allow us to have kids out of school in internships, in school for project-based learning, out of school for project-based learning. Send it our way. Send it to the South Star Classroom, because we will utilize it in an altruistic way for kids without NDAs or what I'm going to assume is 20% of the cut of their profit.
Jeez, man.
Dave, your thoughts, dude. Jesus.
Man, we are up on time, brother.
We are up on time. This is a fun topic. I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, it is. It is. We're kind of we're pushing the limits here on the South Star Classroom.
Push it to the limits.
Scarface.
Yes.
I mean, my closing thoughts are I agree with you. I think the general like structure of the program of the school day, I like that.
It's cool.
I'm trying to think, like, if I were running this program, I would figure out a way to somehow, push in elements to the morning, work time that were more collaborative, so you could have even collaboration there, and it's not just kids on Chromebooks. I think that, and then my other big, I hadn't even thought about what you raised around, this $1 million challenge, and I'm like, yeah, it sounds pretty freaking pyramid scheme-ish. Everything's a scam nowadays, and I'm like, this sounds like a scam. I mean, at least the alt school didn't have that thing attached to it, right? I don't know how I feel about this whole thing now, but I would say, I would say, as opposed to, or maybe in addition to, some kind of a entrepreneurship model that where kids want to make money for sure. Why not? But also, is there a world where we could have an AI system and a school that also focuses on, maybe the outcome is not $1 million. Maybe the outcome is like solving a humanitarian problem.
Thanks.
Maybe the outcome is like solving a community issue, right? Maybe the outcome is solving some kind of a medical or a vaccination issue, something that actually like helps people, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be very powerful. So I mean, those are my closing thoughts. I also I wonder about not the scalability, but like I would love to look at their finances, right? Just to see how the money flows, like where are they spending their money? That's because I'm like, I don't know. That's a lot of money per kid. And I'd be curious to see how they spend their money. So that's those are my closing thoughts. What about you? What do you got to add?
I think I summed it up in the last part. I would just close it up with saying you brought such a really cool component of like, imagine the goal not being like, let's make $1 million, but like, let's raise money for the school so every kid can go here for free. Let's actually solve a community driven problem, which I thank God that's like right after my heartstrings. let's figure out how to put kids into a scenario where they can literally run the school themselves. Like basic stuff, even to me, David, would have been rad. It'd been like, okay, like I don't have to spend 8 hours on this. You can teach me some like plumbing skills. I can fix my home. I can fix the school's toilets. I can do some electrical work. I can be a handy person. Like, god dang, dude, like that's pretty dope in terms of like, hey kids, like here's how to manage your school and run it like an executive. Here are the kind of hands-on things for the day-to-day stuff to manage a home. And then let's go out and solve like a big crisis here in El Paso and raise money so that this school becomes free and accessible. Those are your ideas. I'm literally regurgitating what you just said. That's why they call you the beard of knowledge, David. It's brilliant.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you to everybody also in the chat. Very interactive chat. Had some of our
dude, today's show was super
here.
funny. Thanks.
So, the high-tech lemonade stand. I love it, Bill. And Alonzo, thanks for showing up. Toya, thank you for showing up as always. And Omar, thanks for a good conversation.
You, dude. Great show. Alonzo, man. I didn't see your comment. Thank you.
Yeah, he's here. Yep. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll be back next week with the full crew. So until then, take care of yourselves, drink some water, get some sleep, and get some sun and eat some good food.
Sun. Orale.
Peace.
Later, y'all.